Alright, so here we are. This is the third day after grafting. Sorry, you can see a little bit of a weird dark bar moving through from the way the LED is affecting the video. The first day after grafting, it was just in the dark, fully covered. Second day in room light, not under the lights, and I had opened the little vents on top.
Still was actually maintaining 99% humidity. You can see that little, it's a little hard to read there, but
and you can see a little bit, you can see the roots just jumping out of the soil because the humidity is so high and they're a little over potted at this point. So let me pull the top off and we'll come right back to this. So as you can see, there's no real signs of wilting. This leaf is just down, but it's not wilted, just knocked down, I think. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit on so you can see the graft line there, the diagonal stripe, and maybe here I think we can start to see a little bit of white. It's hard to get it to focus there. There we go. On the line, that's a little bit of callousing. Really good news is I do not see in any of these with the high humidity. Sometimes you'll see from the scion sending out roots, trying to root down, and I do not see that at all. So they actually all look in pretty good shape. So here we are at day 4, the grafted tomatoes. You can see there's a little warmth in there from the lights, getting a little more humidity even higher.
at the top propped up on 2 sides to let some more airflow in, vented the top.
So they're starting to get a little more each day used to the real world. Let's just take the top off. So you can see pretty much they're still lining up pretty well. There are some, now this one right here is a little darkening. I don't really like that. It's a little slippage in the joint, but hopefully that will still take. Most of them look pretty good. I'm trying to remember, there was a few, I don't know if we can see in there, that one right in there. A little more slippage, a little offset. So sometimes the pressure over time from the clamps, if the pieces are a little large for the clamps or there's other restrictions, they might slip a little. I find most still make it. You want to start with a good tight connection, but they do seem to mostly make it. So I'm actually going to leave them uncovered for just about 10 minutes, and I'll come back and we'll see how they're doing. We'll see how much they wilt, and if they do, then of course we'll have the top back on them. But I think they're coming along okay so far. I think we're starting to see some healing, and hopefully we'll have some good results. Okay, it's actually been about a half hour with them out in the open. I'm not really, things are still looking pretty good. We do have our very frilly paste types that are always this way, but it's actually still pretty good. That's kind of what they look like. So I'm going to put the top back on, just give them a little bit each day, keep liking it, keep an eye on them. Right now I have to get to some other things, so I can't just leave them, so I don't want to come back and have them all dead, but they're definitely making progress if they're holding up that long without showing any real change. So this is day 5 now, and they're looking really quite good. I've had the top propped up for a couple hours this morning. This little piece of wood under the corners, so my plastic cover here was up above them, so the humidity was dropping a little bit. They look good enough, and I decided to take the top off, and they've been 2 hours now without the top, so they're just out there relying on whatever they're getting from the rootstock, because they are definitely starting to be connected. Not perfect yet, but after 2 hours, and you can see a relative humidity around 55, so much less than when they're covered, and they're all still pretty strong. You know, some of them, like I said before, some of them are some of these pastes with this really wispy foliage, but I could see, you see there, the tip is still real firm, even though these are funky looking leaves. So it's not wilting, just sort of the way those look. I did notice in here there was just one that I didn't, showed me a little wilt. I don't know where it is now. It was Taifuku, medium-sized, dark tomato, but I have two of those. One looked good, the other had a little bit of wilt, but it did look like it still had connection at the graft union, so hopefully it'll work. The other thing I'm starting to see now is, you can see in here, the light color of some of these leaves as they're extending out at the growth points. Let's see, you can sort of see it right in there. See the lighter color, that, and the tip. So they haven't been in a lot of light, so it's lighter, but I can see that there is some growth. And when the scion is growing again, that means it's probably connected. You can see in there it's a little lighter in the center. And if we look at the individual unions, finger there to try and get it to focus, you can see that they're still pretty tight. A few, we do see a little gap, a little darkness, but sometimes it's good on one side and not on the other. So that's you know, what we're dealing with. And here's one you can see where it's definitely slipped a bit, right in here. It's not completely lined up, but it's still, you know, top plant still looks good, so there's enough connection, so I think it's going to make it. Anyway, so I'm going to cover these back up again. Like I said, the one was showing the littlest bit of wilt, so they're not perfect, not there yet, but 5 days, and things are looking pretty good. So here are the grafted tomatoes, the end of day 6. I was going to cover them up again, but I think they're fine. This is the fastest I've ever healed them. And I took the cover off this morning, had them under the lights, and now I have them back here outside just a little bit. And I saw no wilting. They look good, and inspecting the grafts, they look in great shape. So I think they'll be out. I think they're done. So let's just take a look at a few of these. So here is one set. So here is one where you can see actually that it slipped. It's a little slippage. No longer lines up exactly. It slipped to the side. But the clip held it tight enough, and it was tight enough long enough that, let's see if we can get to focus. On the back side, it is actually still, sorry, trying to get this focus. Let me hold it up away from the table. There you go. Well, it's fully sealed on the back side. And just looking at a couple others, you can see here, this is a very nice joint. Almost a few of these, not this one exactly, there's a little line, but a few of these, they look almost seamless. And this one, a little more space between it, but you can see it looks almost like glue, or, you know, it's healed in there, and that's where it's calloused together. So again, the bottom was just a rootstock, completely separate tomato. The top was a different kinds of heirlooms, and they now all healed. So that was 6 days, the fastest I have healed them, really. And out of this tray of 60 or 61, I actually have 100% survival. So I'm very, very happy with that. That's the best I've done. Maybe if I had done more grafts, maybe there would have been some problems. But a few looked a little weepy at day 4, a little when I left them out for a longer time, but now they look great. And again, you can see a lot of that is just also, here's an example, one with more leaf, and this would have been harder to heal, but it's definitely already growing, so it put out some more size. But for others where I've, you know, cut some of the extra leaves off, not left too much foliage, they've started to grow now, so it's a little harder to tell how much but I definitely took a lot of the top foliage away, and it didn't have to sustain so much of the plant as it started to heal. I've had more failure in the past when you leave too much on top, and you're just asking too much of that tenuous graft as it's just starting to come together and knit together. So that's definitely something I learned. And also, I kept them a little warmer this time, and that definitely seemed to have helped with the healing. Because really, the most loss I've had is when they're covered too long, they're just too humid for too long. You get different problems happening, like roots starting from the scion trying to come down, and once that starts, they don't heal as well. Mold or mildew starting when they're covered, but these a little warmer, a little more aggressive uncovering them, and yeah, so that worked out. I hope this is helpful. If you are grafting, and I definitely suggest doing it. It's fun besides just because it gives me better plants. But you have to learn by doing, and hopefully seeing this and seeing how the plants reacted over the course of these days will help folks who are going to do some grafting on their own, and you'll get better year after year. If it doesn't work the first year, don't give up. It's worth doing and worth practicing at, and you'll see success, I'm sure.